At least 150 people have been arrested in France after a second night of unrest, triggered by the shooting of a 17-year-old delivery driver by police.
As Putin makes rare public visit, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says the Russian president's reign has been weakened by Wagner's attempted mutiny.
A second night of unrest in Paris after the fatal shooting of a 17-year-old boy by the police. Fires could be seen burning at some intersections as thousands of security forces were deployed to the suburb of Nanterre. The government even heightened police presence across other cities. The teenager named Naël was shot at point-blank range as he drove off during a police traffic check. The incident has reignited debate about police brutality in France amid long-standing criticism about the heavy-handed treatment of people in low-income suburbs, particularly ethnic minorities. Politicians from all parties have condemned the shooting. MPs in the National Assembly held a minute's silence while Prime Minister Elizabeth Bourne criticized the officer's decision to open fire.
Je veux ici dire l'émotion de la nation tout entière après ce qui est arrivé et la mort du jeune Naël, et dire à sa famille toute notre solidarité et l'affection de la nation. Nous avons un adolescent qui a été tué, c'est inexplicable.
Anger has spread to other cities, including Toulouse and Lille. France's government is haunted by the prospect of a repeat of the 2005 riots sparked by the death of 2 black boys during a police chase. It resulted in around 10,000 cars being burned and 6,000 people being arrested.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has made his first public visit since the mutiny by Wagner troops. He flew to the southern region of Dagestan to discuss domestic tourism, implying business as usual. But Western leaders are not so convinced. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz claims Putin has been weakened by the mercenary group's revolt, and there are real dangers now that Wagner fighters have been welcomed by Belarus.
Und das haben die ukrainischen Bürgerinnen und Bürger gemerkt mit dem furchtbaren Einsatz dieser Truppen in dem Krieg Russlands gegen die Ukraine. Und was jetzt klar geworden ist, Privatarmeen sind immer bedrohlich, auch für die Staaten, die sie sich halten. Das hat Russland jetzt gespürt.
One person who was in the sights of the Wagner group at the weekend was Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. Western officials claim Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin planned to kidnap Shoigu and other heads of the Russian military. Wagner has many operational spheres. Evidence of a planned information attack against the government of Lithuania has been discovered in documents found in raids on the group's office in St. Petersburg.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has met with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris. They're said to have discussed Sweden's so far failed bid to join the military alliance and Ukraine's request to join. Turkey has been holding up Sweden's bid, saying the country harbours Kurdish terrorists. Euronews international correspondent Annalise Borges has more.
Ukraine's rightful place is in NATO. The words of NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who arrived here in Paris for a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron. Jens Stoltenberg, who has been meeting NATO heads of state in recent weeks. He met the German Chancellor, but also the Dutch Prime Minister, and had a call with the recently re-elected Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. All that to prepare for a summit in Vilnius, a summit that, according to Estonia's Prime Minister, will unveil a surprise for Ukraine with regards to its membership. It's going to be interesting to see how the next weeks play out. Jens Stoltenberg here in Paris this Wednesday, once again talking about the importance of this alliance, the importance of the defense budget for this alliance in each member state, and once again reinforcing the need to expedite Sweden's membership after that of Finland's. He reiterated the importance of bringing all these like-minded governments, these like-minded countries together to defend this block in what he described as an increasingly dangerous world. Annelise Borges in Paris for Euronews.
An act that horrified the Islamic world and embarrassed the Swedish government just days before the NATO summit, where Sweden's bid to join the alliance will be discussed. A man of Iraqi origin burns a copy of the Quran in front of Stockholm's Great Mosque as Muslims around the world celebrate the holiday of Eid al-Adha. The protester was given permission by police, who afterwards charged him with agitation against an ethnic or national group. Some 200 people turned out to watch, but many weren't happy with what they saw.
We should not tolerate these things. We just have to say stop. It's not okay to humiliate other people.
Freedom of speech is very important, but I think burning a religious book, it's not freedom of speech. It's another thing, it's a provocation.
Turkey condemned the event and said Swedish authorities were complicit in Islamophobia. Even before the burning, Ankara had been holding up Sweden's NATO membership bid over Stockholm's refusal to hand over Kurdish militants that Turkey considers to be terrorists.
The US Coast Guard says what is thought to be human remains has been found from the wreckage of the doomed submersible Titan. Debris from the ocean floor has been brought back to land. A white panel-like piece and another part draped with cords and wires were taken off the recovery boat. It's nearly a week after authorities announced a catastrophic implosion had killed all 5 men on board the vessel, which had dived to observe the wreck of the Titanic.
Outrage in Italy after an apparent act of vandalism at one of the world's greatest heritage sites. A visitor was filmed defacing one of the ancient walls of Rome's Colosseum. He apparently carved his name and that of a young woman who was with him. Another tourist, angered by what he saw, filmed the incident.
Honestly, I would like this person to just kind of learn the lesson. Honestly, at the end of the day, whether he has to pay the fine or not, if learning the lesson means paying the fine, then so be it. But I just honestly want him and anybody else who would think of doing such a thing to realize that this is not acceptable behavior.
Italian authorities have zero tolerance for graffiti or acts of vandalism at their historic landmarks and have vowed to track the man down. In 2014, a Russian tourist was fined €20,000 and given a 4-year suspended sentence for engraving the letter K on one of the Colosseum's walls.
A climate activist has been carried off the Lord's cricket ground in London by England cricket keeper Johnny Bairstow. Just Stop Oil protesters briefly interrupted the second Ashes test between England and Australia. They scattered orange powder on the ground before unceremoniously being removed from the field. The group has accused Lord's cricket ground of trying to promote a clean image while being sponsored by JP Morgan, which they call the world's worst fossil fuel bank.
The Queen of Pop is expected to make a full recovery after developing a serious bacterial infection. Madonna's family has revealed they feared they would lose her after she was rushed into intensive care. The 64-year-old singer was reportedly found unconscious in New York on Saturday. She has been forced to postpone her celebration tour. The global, nearly sold-out tour was billed as paying homage to Madonna's more than 4-decade-long career on the 40th anniversary of her breakout single, Holiday.
Space-time is being warped by huge gravitational waves rolling through the universe. That's according to the latest research. Scientists believe waves are generated when enormous black holes merge. Now, astronomers have found signs of super slow gravitational waves distorting space-time as they roll through.
So it's going to be very important in our understanding of the evolution of supermassive black holes. And as I said, this is just a detection. In the future, we'll have much more information. So we'll learn much more about the spectrum of supermassive black hole masses. We'll learn about the rates at which different supermassive black holes are merging. We'll learn about the distribution of supermassive black holes throughout the universe.
The low-frequency gravitational pulses, which have been described as a cosmic bass note, were discovered by researchers at the Nanohertz Observatory for Gravitational Waves. Their existence was first postulated by Albert Einstein.
Cars, beers and sausages. It's a cliché about national taste that has accompanied Germany for decades. But at least one of them is out of date. Germans are eating less and less meat. Their consumption has fallen to 52 kilos per person per year, the lowest figure ever recorded. Just 5 years ago it was 61 kilos. So how do Germans themselves explain it?
Warum ich weniger Fleisch esse, also der vorwiegende Grund sind die Tiere, weil man in den letzten Jahren doch schon viel mehr erfahren hat darüber, wie sie getötet werden, wie sie verarbeitet werden, woher sie kommen.
Also ich esse generell wenig Fleisch, auch weil meine Partnerin Vegetarierin ist und mich auch nicht so wohl fühle, mit so viel Fleisch zu essen. Ich glaube, dass man jeder ein bisschen Verantwortung übernehmen kann für das Klima und geringerer Fleischkonsum auf jeden Fall ein Beitrag ist, sowohl der Umwelt zu helfen, als auch den Tieren und ist auch gesund.
According to authorities, around 10% of Germans are vegetarians, up 4% from 2018, and the trend is still on the rise. Stoked by a shift in awareness about animal welfare, climate change, high meat prices and health.